Howdy, folks, and here we are for real. Okay, and yep, I think
We're alive.
yes, we're back. Alrighty. So, last session was kind of interesting. I think it's perfectly reasonable that we start out with Chevalier giving us the recap as he recalls the events of the last session and lead towards an increasingly frantic retelling from that point onwards. So, Chevalier.
We went to meet with Quidian to see about this work that he had proposed. He suggested, as a way of testing both our ability and his ability to trust us, that we do a small bit of robbery for him. And while I do not believe he is trying to set us up, I believe he is honest in his intent. He is certainly not telling us everything. And to be honest, at this, in a way that justifies, suggested we should go discuss this matter, possibly get food, maybe see a bit of the city while we are at it. We discovered there was a tournament going on, which Lucas was very enthusiastic about. And initially, it was quite enjoyable. The side down, people enjoying themselves, it was nice. And then for some reason, Jasper decided that it was a very good idea to enter his brother by name and rank in.
See, that's the kind of accusation that gets you frozen. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Also, you have no idea it was me. It could have been anyone.
You were literally standing on stage spruiking for him.
Oh yeah, that bit. I forgot about that bit too. It wasn't me. It was a random elf person.
For the benefit of the audience,
Disguise is deceptive once it changes. We know you're the elf person.
Sam, for the non-Aussies, what is spruiking?
I don't even know if that's an Aussie thing. That's like a brooking carnival barker.
Declaring, isn't it? It's like promoting.
Like trying to promote something and sell.
Yeah, all right. I've only ever heard it in the mouth of an Aussie, but it just for the folks watching this in the VOD who don't speak Aussie.
So spooker would be. Yeah, I'm not. Is that an Aussie? Maybe it is an Aussie thing.
It's an English thing too.
I think it's more of a British thing.
Fair enough.
I mean, it doesn't help the Americans. So
It just depends what accent you say it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Google Dictionary tells me it is an informal Australian term.
Okay.
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I've used it in England.
Learning.
Was I Australian before I got here?
To promote or publicize.
You were always one of us.
All right. Very good. Since the person co-located to Chevalier would have been Alexandre, what was her perception of the events as described?
For some unknown reason, oh, hello, everyone's freezing today. For some unknown reason, Spider has decided that he's going to dress up as everyone but himself and then call out everyone but himself. And that's a problem.
You don't say. You don't say.
On top of that, now I cannot be blamed for everyone in the city knowing that we're here. And that's nice.
That's nice, yes.
I suppose. Except now if we try to steal something from someone, that might become a problem in itself. Because everyone knows who we are. But we don't know if we want to steal anything yet.
All right.
And what did Lucas do? Because now he's being called to a stage. Did they collude on this? Maybe. Either way, they're going to get an earful when it's done.
All right. Lucas,
Yes.
what's your theory? Theory, feelings, opinions, all that other stuff on current events.
Well, this tournament, which was already exciting, just got a little bit more exciting. It's been a long time since I've seen a joust. And I did not expect to see one of such caliber out this far from Shining Capital. So it's nice to see there is something worth watching here. But yes, my name was called out over the loudspeaker. Loudspeaker?
That's a weird name for me.
That's a very, yes.
I, the
It
loudspeaker.
was spoken loudly. There we go.
I actually think probably, given the nature of utility magic, it would be perfect. First off, I think the your typical just shout cone, I think, is probably is already figured out. But it would also make sense to me that there would be some minor enhancement, which basically would put this thing to your mouth, yell into it. It literally acts as an amplifier. So I'm okay with loud hailer is perfect. The equivalent of a loud hailer, is probably perfectly fine.
The idea, though, it's not the item, but the person using it. There's like a dedicated thaumaturge for every single joust.
Incredible.
Unfortunately,
but yes,
like Howard Cosell,
while watching the jousting, yes, I heard my name call out. And over at the side was a small fighting arena for a sideshow of sorts. And lo and behold, there is my disguised brother, who does a rather wonderful announcement to announce my my entry into the ring. Which I, at the moment, am in two minds over whether I am angry or thankful.
Interesting. Okay. Spider. Somewhere between good fine sandwich and a 2x4, I believe was the description, yes? This is what is currently influencing your decision making?
What? I don't even know what you're talking about, man. I'm fine. Yeah. Good times.
Good times.
Great classic hits.
All right. So what do you think about all this?
I think we've had a ripping beginning to our adventure here in Glitter Delta Cove. I made some new friends amongst the local populace, and we've been given a job that's right up my alley. The rest seem to be somewhat hesitant about the idea of
Skeptical of you?
stealing. Yes, there we go. Skeptical about stealing this urn or whatever it was. It was an urn, wasn't it? I hope it doesn't have ashes in it. Don't want to steal a dead person. That's weird. I've probably done worse. I don't really remember the rest, though.
Fair enough. All right. So, yeah. So let's talk briefly with Lucas. Lucas, things you
Yes.
would know. You've done
Things I would know.
But no, this is, if you will, background knowledge. You've done this kind of stuff before. You've been part, particularly given your family. You've been part of show day tournaments and stuff in Shining Capital. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things you need to sort out in a hurry in your slow motion. Oh no! Do I kill him? Do I hug him? Walk up towards the arena. First off, is that you don't have any armor and weapons with you. That's going to get awkward in a hurry. So you're going to have to Boro.
We went out without armor and weapons. What that's ridiculous.
Well, I don't know. I was just gonna say, did you guys go for a business meeting decked out for a brawl?
I mean, I probably did.
Technically, I did, yes.
Well, you don't get a vote, Chevalier. Your business attire is decked out for a brawl. Okay. But for
I could have
Lucas,
turned it off.
I'm just gonna say Lucas and Alexandre, particularly Lucas with the heavy armor and all the other happy stuff. I mean, was he clanking around to a dusk meeting with in a posh graveyard in full armor, or?
Well, it's interesting. I kind of imagine that he almost sleeps in his armor, but I mean, he does.
If you have, I think it's.
Yeah, I do. There's
a boon for that. I'm just going to say that actually lets you sleep in armor without taking fatigue.
Yeah, that's what I've got for Lucas. So he's.
Okay. All right.
I've only got 2 feats, and one of them is armor mastery. So I imagine that's his. He's always ready.
Oh, fair enough. All right.
In that sense, maybe not the shield or the weapon, but in terms of armor, like he'd definitely be.
Okay, so you've got your armor on. Okay, so you don't look completely out of place. Now, not having a weapon's not a problem, because with this sort of thing, they use a type of weapon called a waster, which is essentially it's about the same weight as a weapon, but it is completely. Some of them are actually made out of ironwood, so they have the right heft, but you can't actually kill anybody with it. So it's literally just for scoring the hits, right?
Nice.
So the next thing you're going to need to sort out is who your herald is going to be. Because the way this works, literally, is you have the person running the field, but there has to be a herald's duel at the beginning before you start fighting, or this is just totally uncool. So literally, both sides pump up their respective fighter, and then you actually clash. But here's the third thing: is you are going to have to announce to the crowd who it is that inspires you in your battles, because it's super gauche to be fighting for yourself. That's self-aggrandizement. That's tacky.
Oh yes.
So you'd never do that. So you're going to have to declare in front of all of this crowd, what woman or man, it's a cool society like that, that you are promoting. You're taking the field to make this other person look good. Your acts don't reflect on you. All your acts of daring do reflect on them. So you're going to have to sort all this out.
Wonderful. Well, sure. So as far as a herald goes, so this is someone who will fight first?
No. Well, and this
will announce me.
Yes, exactly. Now, mechanically, it's actually technically a presence duel. So this is the thing. This is where the GM starts talking to the players. Mechanically, the way this is going to work is before each passive of arms, the heralds will quote duel. In other words, you can choose whoever the herald's going to be. You can either buff. So let's just say, for example, Alexandre is Lucas's herald. So Alexandre would use a persuasion roll, an intimidation roll, something, and she's either going to give 1 or 2 dice of advantage, depending on how the rolls go, to Lucas, or try and take advantage away from the other fighter. So you're going to pump Lucas up or tear the other one down. Okay? Now the second one is gauche. But Lucas has seen it done. But interestingly enough, the more important the fight, the nastier the heralds tend to get.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
All right. So,
and then, like I say, socially, it's hyper tacky to be fighting for yourself. It would literally count against you. If someone was to recognize you tomorrow and you'd been fighting for yourself, Lucas would literally be suffering from a social disadvantage. So he's going to have to declare someone as his inspiration. And then we actually are going to do Lucas. It's going to be straight up, because we're still learning the mechanics for the way the combat system works. We're actually going to dice through a couple of fights. Okay.
Wonderful.
And it's best of 5 points. So we're not going to do 20 hit points of damage. Just because they're not damaging weapons, they're wasters. It's just 5 hits. Somehow.
Yeah, great.
All right.
Nice. So I think Lucas is going to walk forward, and I think confusion at first at what is going on, and seeing the arena, seeing the setup, I think it clicks pretty much straight away what's going on.
Yeah, like I say, I think Lucas has seen this scene in various sizes and scales before. One fighter, one-on-one, 2v2, 3v3, even 5v5s. Lucas has fought these. This is just, as a member of the not nobility, particularly as the son of a not noble, Lucas is almost obligated to have done this.
Oh yeah,
repeatedly. So yeah,
great. Then it's almost like fulfilling it's almost second nature. He just steps in and has to problem solve how to socially survive this situation and then the fight. I think he looks at his brother as a potential herald, but then I think okay, yeah, no, he's gonna. I'm gonna look to Spider, and say, here is. He declares his herald. Points to Spider.
So of course there's some polite clapping. You'll be. By the way, this is something you'll know is that the marshal, the guy, the marshal master of the field, will give you your weapons when you meet the other fighter. You can see there's a red-haired lass actually on the other side of the field. It's a rectangular. It's about 6 meters by 8 meters, just to kind of, so you got plenty of space to maneuver, and then there's a little bit of a danger space that if somebody's weapons goes flying or whatever, you don't wind up bonking somebody in the crowd, whatever. So there's a bit of a curtain, sort of a rope area around an oops trip.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm going to go over to Spider and grab his hand and pull him forwards and just whisper in his ear, brother, will you be my herald?
Yeah, mate, got it.
Okay.
Wonderful. Excellent. And I pull him into the arena and push him forward, tap him on the back and say, you've got this. And then I'm going to, I'm trying to, did I get the name of one of the jousters from the tournament? As my inspiration. There was a young woman, a young man, and a dwarven chap.
Yeah, hang on a second.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, it was. I was just gonna say it was a human. It was a human male, an elven woman, and then the dwarven, and then the dwarven fellow. Yeah, were the three that you were watching. Hang on a second.
Great.
Let me grab names. Because while I was just going to say I took the time to actually sketch them out, but of course didn't write down a name for them in the notes I can find immediately. Give me a sec here. So okay. So now, just by the way, when you do that, it's sort of implicit that then someone's going to have to run over and get that person to come watch, because the whole point of having your inspiration is for them to be standing on the sidelines and watching, and so that everyone knows who it is you're fighting for, right? Okay, that's cool.
Right. So it's the young woman that is the first one that comes to mind. She was the one that was toying with the opponent.
Yes.
So it was like.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's okay. Yes. She was the one that was. Literally just.
Like a competent.
I was just going to say
a competent fighter. Like.
Yeah. I was just gonna say. I mean, it's smidge tacky because kind of rough on the other chap who never really had a chance to win anyway. But yeah.
I think okay. Because I don't know if Lucas would want tacky. He'd want someone who he wants to win.
Yeah, so the thing is that that's so the catch.
Maybe the dwarf. The dwarf had lots of fancy colors.
I was just going to say, like I say, and for him, his shtick was, as opposed to Shafiza Okavo was the elven woman. The thing with where Okavo was just literally basically doing duck and weave until she decided the fight was over, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 done.
Right.
the dwarven chap was just literally displaying technical brilliance. He was intentionally picking the hardest targets, the hardest places to land shots on his opponent, as a method of. He wasn't embarrassing his opponent. He was increasing his own. He was increasing his own difficulty, as it were. He was handicapping himself, as it were, to bringing his own bar for excellence upwards without making his opponent look bad.
Yeah, that's totally what Lucas would want. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go for that.
Fair enough. So that hang on a second. Grab his name, and that was. I will post that in the Twitch chat as well. I'm using this the human the human common, if you will, titles. The elves, neither the dwarves nor the elves would use those titles, but that's the rough translation. If you were all right, and again, the Progress Confederacy. So the problem is that what the Progress Confederacy uses, that's probably the equivalent of as Anguir. These are probably people who are a status bar or higher than you in terms of rank. Hang on a second here. Did I not write down? I thought I'd written that down. Father, he said. Anyway.
This is so exciting.
Yeah, so just give me a moment here. I'm having one of those moments where I have notes, and naturally, because I've turned a camera on, can't find them. Titles, where is it? There we go. No, I didn't. Okay, wow, drive myself nuts from time to time. So I had actually figured out what the level of what essentially Knight Captain translated to, and then didn't actually write it down. Went through the aggravation of figuring it out and then didn't write it down. Good job, Michelle. Okay, so yeah, so basically the rank above you would be the equivalent of Knight Captain, and that's easily where this chap,
Right.
Knight Captain or Knight Major, would be competing. I mean, just the skill at arms you saw was remarkable. There's no doubt about that.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So, all right. So you're going to have to send someone to go get them. Obviously, if you're going to be, basically making the star of your show, because that's essentially what calling someone as your inspiration does. Someone will have to go get them so they can come watch.
Ah, bugger. All right, I'm going to look around. Can I see Alexandre or Chevalier around?
Well, I think the better way of putting it is you can easily find Chevalier, which means Alexandre is somewhere to the left or right of him. It's sort of the reference. Right. Lucas has gotten very used to that approach to finding Alexandre.
Yeah.
Scan
Alexandre is carrying a lot of lights right now.
Yep.
So,
that's an excellent idea in the chat. The hot captain. We can dedicate it to them.
That's if Alexandre was fighting.
I like that. I don't think the hot captain is in Lucas's frame of reference so much.
She's still hot.
She's still hot. Still hot.
But again, calling someone as your inspiration, that's only sort of worth anything if they're actually there to watch. So if you'd bumped into them in the evening and you knew they were somewhere in the crowd, then you could send someone out to go find them. But yeah.
I like that. I'm going to
dedicate this fight to the captain. Get the hot captain.
Hot captain.
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows.
Hot captain. I'm just going to shout hot captain until they arrive. So I'm going to look at Chevalier, and I kind of do one of those get over here gestures. And if that doesn't work, then I'm going to use my hands.
How thick about this is Chevalier being?
It's kind of, there's a little bit of just like the whole thing is just almost like dumbstruck. And then he's just like, it's kind of just like, shares a glance with Alexandre and just like shrugs, and then, all right, let's see this through, I guess.
Yeah, we're here now.
Wonderful. Chevalier. I'm sure you have seen one of these situations before. I am in need of some inspiration, and that can be found over in the jousting arena. Now, I need you to go find a dwarf for me.
Will any dwarf do?
Yeah, just like looks around, points at one, just like, you're welcome.
What's the name of this dwarf, Michelle?
Okay, so yeah, I've posted the name. It's Olarom Trulmak.
Oleron Trulmak. Oleron Trulmak. So I'm going to say that to Chevalier, and I'm going to say he is a knight captain, a jouster over at the arena, and quite a skilled fighter. I'm rather impressed by how he managed his recent opponent. I want to dedicate this fight to him. I think he has a wonderful chance of taking the tournament out.
Well, I mean, if we're going to draw attention to ourselves, we might as well go all out and attract the attention of the tournament champion as well.
I'm going to put my hand on your shoulder and say, Chevalier, we've crossed that line.
No, Chevalier, we shouldn't draw attention to ourselves.
Keep in mind you're having this conversation in front of a crowd that's currently chanting and clapping and hooting and everything as everything. There's a match currently going on, by the way. Keep in mind Lucas is, quote, on deck. So this is the reason they call a couple of minutes in advance, because there's five bouts happening while you guys are preparing. So you're gonna have a couple of minutes, but yeah. Just for perspective, you're literally surrounded by people cheering and clapping, and all kinds of people looking curious at who this Lucas Edgewater person that's the next contestant. Oh, I've never heard of them before. I wonder if people trading money against the relative unknown versus the town favorite, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, your anonymity is preserved. There's no doubt there.
Okay, then. Well,
So, Andre, you're clipped out again? Chantal? Still no audio.
Yeah.
Why?
It's
there
like
we
the
go.
first few seconds after you unmute, usually. No,
We're going
never
again.
mind that theory. That was not a true theory at all.
Yeah, go get
Number
your
2, why you die?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, you're kidding me.
All right, we'll stick with this for now, which sucks, but we'll stick with it for now.
Yep. Dip your.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull my volume right down.
Yep.
Is that a little bit better?
That's
That's
fine to
great.
me. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, we can
let's
hear
go with
you,
that.
so
Yeah, we can hear me.
I was just gonna say
Good
slightly tinny, not your usual.
Yeah.
Not your usual recording grade sound, but that's okay.
No, I know.
That sucks. So sorry. So sorry for the death of your microphone.
It's the first time I've wished Alexandre had invisibility as an option. Is what I was trying to say.
I think Lucas is starting to stretch and limber up. I think I'm doing my pre stuff, my pre-show.
All right.
I just turns to Alexandre and just says, do you want to stay here, or do you want to see if we can convince this dwarf to come watch this spectacle?
Let's get a dwarf. Let's of this goes.
Now, to be clear, he does want a specific dwarf. I made that
Oh.
mistake earlier.
Oh. Why? Which dwarf does he want?
Ulrum Tromak, one of the jousters.
Oh. Yes, he was watching those a lot.
Apparently, he is set to win, or is at least a contender.
Yes, let's bring the entire crowd here. That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, let's
Is
go
he
do
still
that.
jousting?
We go do that, I guess.
Okay.
Because
Sure. All right. So what I don't want to do is take, basically a half an hour of time as you folks go darting around the crowd and whatever. So we're going to do this in the worst possible way, which is as a montage. So can you explain to me what skills that Chevalier and Alexandre would be using to rapidly find, out of a crowd of probably a dozen or more incredibly talented jousters and their sea of adoring fans, how would you find the individual you're looking for, get to the point where you can talk to them, and then convince them to come on over and hang out with the guy that they've never heard of?
well, I think for the first one, we find where his name's being chanted. For the second one, we use the fact that I'm real big. And for the third,
Presents.
I don't know. Yeah, let's just hope the dice are kind.
All right then. These sound like plausible explanations for a stretch of the imagination. So just for amusement, go ahead and both of you make a perception rolls for me. Relatively low DC, but there's always a chance that something may go haywire.
21.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, he's easy to find. He's the
8.
chap riding 21 and an 8. Excellent. So yes, you can find him. He's the chap riding by on the field right now, currently jousting.
Just like, I think sort of turns Alexandre. Yeah. Thanks.
But he's jousting.
Tempted as I am to just go right now, maybe we just wait.
Should I slow him? So that
No,
okay.
no, no.
I could end the joust.
I understand, and
Okay.
I just ridiculous as this is, we probably should.
Some gluey freeze going on with Sam. Try that again. You were so badly broken up. I have no idea what you said, other than you like robots.
That's what I.
And frozen again. Bloody hell.
No tech
Always
issues. I hate you all.
brilliant. Oh, it just told me my internet connection is unstable. Guys, did you know?
That's revolutionary news. Had no clue whatsoever.
As no, we should wait for the joust to end while we could intervene. Perhaps ridiculous as this is, we don't further. Maybe don't use magic.
All right, do me just for amusement.
Okay.
Both of you roll a d6. Let me know. Let me know if you get a 6 or a 1. It's the numbers I'm most
I
worried.
did not.
4.
A 4.
I also rolled a 4.
A 4, excellent. Okay, so nothing. So it's gonna. The good news is it's not like so. The good if ones would have been like he just got onto the field and you'd be waiting a while for him to wrap up his 5 or 6 passes. Sixes would basically sleep. So it's going to be a little bit, but not too terribly wrong. So while we're waiting for him, Lucas, are you going to explain to Spider sort of how this is supposed to work?
Yeah.
Oh, I know how it's meant to work.
Oh,
No,
has Spider done this before for Lucas? Is this an old hat thing?
Definitely not.
You just can't see Spider hanging out in the upper crust of shining capital society, dressed in finery and being Anguir Edgewater's personal herald. You're not seeing that as an image, no?
Not in many years.
And as much as Lucas is not the most intelligent person, he does know that Spider needs a bit of guidance.
Fair enough.
This is one thing that Lucas knows.
I probably watched some of these things from the stands, though.
Oh yeah. Probably stealing at the same time.
Would he do a thing like that?
Look, watching, pickpocketing.
I'm gonna face Spider and say, right, your job is very simple. You say lots of good things about me and lots of bad things about them.
Do we even know who you're fighting?
Oh no.
Well, the name was actually announced at the same time as they announced Lucas. They announced the name of the other fighter for the first battle.
Oh, wonderful. Did you catch the name?
Look, I didn't write it down.
Either.
If you, I'm just gonna say, if Spider wants to try and remember if he heard anything over the chaos that he was creating, go ahead and make me a learning roll.
You know, as fun as that would be, I'm a pass.
So you've no clue. You've no barking clue whatsoever.
I'm just gonna stick to the first thing.
Right.
No barking.
Wonderful.
Clue. Right.
I'm going to look around for one of those swords.
Yeah, oh, just because, well, Lucas would know that literally as you would you'll be introduced to your opponent. The martial master will then give you your wasters. You'll sort of salute each other. He'll declare the start, and then it's first of 5.
Great. Wonderful. Okay. I think we've got this, Jasper.
All right.
You seem doubtful, but that's okay.
No, we got this.
You okay?
Yep.
But did that
Sleepy.
sleepy? Are you drunk?
No.
You had one shot.
Exactly. Why are my lips so dry?
You are drunk.
Meanwhile, back at the jousting field. So, Trollmock has just finished dispatching his current opponent, and again, just technical Chevalier perhaps would recognize the level of technical prowess. For Alexandre, the most interesting thing about him is he's, like I say, dressed like what happens when a munitions factory runs headlong into a Broadway musical. Brilliant colors, streamers. He's not decked out in plate mail. If anything, he's seems to be wearing a lighter style of armor, and he's got it almost completely covered in these outlandish strips of cloth, patches of leather, streamers. It's like I say, he looks literally like a munitions factory colliding with a Broadway musical. It's the best. It's incredible visually to human eyes. It's remarkably loud as fashion. But he carries it like, you know. So yeah, so he's in the process of dismounting off of his off of his battle goat.
I'm sorry, his what?
Battle goat.
I'm gonna need you to just rewind a little bit.
Our whole campaign just became about getting us a battle goat.
I'm sorry.
Where do we
Did
get one
someone
of these?
bury the lead?
Wait.
I just
Did you just change the entire campaign?
You're welcome. So you're looking at. I mean, he's literally riding basically something the size. It's Himalayan mountain ram. Yeah, it's the size of a pony at the shoulder. It's a double curl of horn that basically gives it a front profile of a VW bug. Yeah.
Alexandria doesn't want one. Chantel does.
Battle goat.
Chantel makes
Yes.
it.
But how fluffy is it?
Remarkably, actually, because it's an alpine creature. A little bit.
Are there versions of these battle goats that are called battle yaks?
You wouldn't know, Lucas. You'd have to go looking around the mountains to ask.
I'm gonna go find a battle yak.
Okay, battle yaks.
There's like an incredibly difficult version to find from like 25 years ago that hops around in the marshes called Battle Toad. The best part of that joke was watching Sam get it about 10 seconds.
I also saw it in the
Yeah.
chat.
that qualifies.
And I was like, ha, you're doing the same joke as you did. Oh, okay.
So yes, and again,
walking to this
I'm just going to
bush.
say, whereas his opponent's Destrier, Warhorse, tall, majestic creature, plate barding, all this stuff. The battle goat is largely covered in scale mail, ribbons, streamers, bells. Like I say, again, so in this case, it's a munitions grade battle goat, which is collided with a Broadway musical.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Two questions, actually. The first one is, would Alexandria have seen jousting / the tournament, like this kind of thing? Would she have seen it before?
I
my
think
first question.
this is one of these things that, given her background, I think it's practically impossible she wouldn't have. How interested she might have been is a different discussion. But I think the thing is that the Progress Confederacy is remarkably proud of its military, and sort of in the same way that some, there are May Day parades in the old USSR to show off, and you've got various countries do these big, and as I say, jousting and tilting, the list fields as you're seeing them, essentially is the equivalent of F1 racing. It's a huge. It's popular both amongst the Missouri, as well as it is popular amongst the rank and file citizenry. So to me, I think it would have been Sinru. Sorry, I think it's almost impossible that she wouldn't have been even dragged along. Like, no, we have to go do this. I don't care if you don't like it. We need to be seen there because, as an important household, we need to keep up appearances. We need to throw a little bit of largesse around, et cetera, and even if we only stay for a little while, we have to show up and be seen. So, how exciting Alexandria finds, as someone who's technically part of the Sinru herself.
So that leads to my second question, which is, has she seen a battle goat before?
So, for lack of a better way, I guess a better way of putting it is, and I'm actually going to turn that question: how often does she see dwarves? In your character, can you, technically, if you take a look at Shining Capital, well, in Progress Confederacy as a whole, dwarves are not one of the most popular races, and they sort of come in three flavors. most of them, however, are there's deep vale and glacial, sort of are the three groups of dwarves.
Then I will say no.
Yeah, I'm just going to say I'm not sure any other than literally for reasons of diplomacy, nobility, essentially civil service posting, that dwarves would be all that common around Shining Capital itself, just because there isn't any of that terrain nearby. So literally they would be getting, if there was someone who's particularly notorious, a very capable engineer, a very capable alchemist, whatever, sure, they'd be, as part of the recognition, being, assigned to Shining Capital is one of those, this is the feather in your cap of your career within the Progress Confederacy, is to be assigned to the civil service of Shining Capital. But beyond that, I'm not sure the head count's too terribly high.
Right. So no battle goats in her past.
Fair enough.
Battle goats in her future. Battle goats in present. Very good.
Okay, you're clear. You're clear on the continuity of timeline for battle goats. Excellent. Things I never thought I'd see as part of a
There will be more battle goats.
timeline continuity.
Unlawful battle goats will return.
Battle goat disorder.
Gets better.
A twist of goat.
A twist of goat. A twist of ram. A ram of
Twist
fate.
of horn. Come
A
on.
twist of horn.
If he's like finished,
Why am I friends with these people?
I have no idea. I mean,
You did this to us.
blame Chantel. She's the one who called you lot.
and this is why. If he's finished, I assume that we just start.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
I guess like walking with purpose, like that sort of thing of like, I'm not only meant to be here, I'm meant to be here more than you are, which I feel Alexandria obviously does better, but Chevalier has a 7-foot war machine, so who's going to tell him otherwise?
In a trench coat. Don't forget the trench coat. You are in.
Yeah.
Alexandria will stride beside.
Yes, you are still in your not a war machine disguise from the meeting earlier, if you recall. Sam is suddenly captured in thought. Oh, there we are. He's moving again. Very good. Oh, excellent. And now Chantel's frozen. Oh, now she's moving again. Okay, cool.
No, I was just still.
Okay, fair enough. I'm stunned by the idea of a war machine, a 7-foot war machine in a trench coat. Got it.
That's really what happened.
All right, so you're going to...
Covered in lights.
I was just going to say, yes, a 7-foot war machine in a trench coat festooned with rave lights. We cannot forget the rave lights. Yes. So, all right, so you're going to have very little problem. I'm not even going to ask for a roll. 7-foot tall trench coat covered in rave lights. Sure, you're going to be able to sort of plow through the crowd fairly easily, with Alexandria sort of following along behind you. So Dwarf is going to be, basically, like I say, surrounded by all kinds of fans, as well as Squire and a few other folks who are just helping him get, pull the saddle off the goat and just making sure the animals go. He's currently scratching it behind the ears and thanking it for its assistance on the battlefield. And you arrive, which obviously enough. Again, dwarf is not the giant-kin word for really barking tall. So he turns around and is squarely staring at your kneecap, and then looks up. And of course, there's now a certain amount of going on with the folks around you. Because you've literally just sort of strode your way through right up to the front. And there's a couple people who are kind of like, somebody's reaching for a pitchfork kind of thing, ostensibly to shovel some hay for the goat, you understand. But, what can I do for you? He says, looking up. And there we go. Dramatic pause time for Sam.
We good?
Yeah.
Am I,
You're
well, am
back.
I,
You're
yeah.
back now.
Okay. My Lord Ulorm Tormak, it is my pleasure to inform you that Engwir Lucas Edgewater has requested your presence at the melee that he may announce that it is by your inspiration that he fights.
He blinks. And we're who?
It's one of the fighters
I know what an
from the
Angler is.
capital.
Look, whoever you are, I know what an Engwir is almost by definition. The question was Engwir who? I didn't say Engwir what.
Lucas, my apologies. Lucas Edgewater is the name of the Engwir.
He looks around. A couple people shake their heads. Well, this is going to be interesting. It's been a while. Lead the way. And
Turns
I'm just
and-
going to say, at which point, this slip of a young halfling lass turns around and with a voice on Chevalier scale announces to the crowd that the mighty and prestigious Olorum Tromak has been summoned to the list field to be the inspiration for... What was the name? For Engwir Edgewater, and so we will be relocating to the list field. And now there's a parade heading over.
I'm so glad that this went exactly as I expected. Okay. Lead them back, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So the dwarf looks at Alexander. He said, "Tell me about him. Who is he?" You're with him, right? Pointing.
Yes.
Okay, so that means you're with the other fella too, Ingwer Edgewater. So tell me about him. Who is he? I want to know. I want to know who it is that's fighting for me.
He is a man.
You're new here, aren't you? Come on, wake up.
What do you want to know?
Is he a friend of yours?
Yes.
Then why? Tell me about him.
He's good at fighting.
All right.
Uh,
Is he kind?
and-
Honest?
Yes. Honest, yes.
Is he
A little-
cruel?
No. Confused, often.
You get hit in the head. Olorum laughs. It's a common problem with folk like us. You take the helmet off. You put the helmet on, you lose 2 IQ. You take the helmet off, you get 1 back. Eventually, it's just permanent. So,
He seems to know a lot of things, but I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows whether or not to trust what he knows.
okay, so he's got a confidence problem. Young fellow then, right? By human standards. Is he human?
Yes.
Okay. I figured with a name like Edgewater, he'd have to be human. Sounded like a human name. All right. So, good guy. Good sense of honor, you think? Tries to do the right thing?
I think he tries, yes.
Okay. All right. Young guy tries. Okay, I can work with that. Please understand, he says. Someone I don't know thinks, apparently, I'm worth something. The least I can do is know who the hell they are.
He really enjoyed watching you.
Well, that's a hell of a compliment. All right. So the parade is going to be making its way across the battlefield. Through the crowd, through the throng, and what you're actually going to get is the drone eye view, because keep in mind, this place is huge, okay? It's dark. There are people everywhere with all kinds of personal lighting, because that is literally the fashion statement. So there's a riot of color. There are there are jugglers doing their thing off to a side, and whatever it is they're juggling, is either sparklers on it or what have you. There's barkers calling out goods. There's another joust getting organized in the background. There's 3 of these different styles of battlefield, for personal combat that are around the place. There's musicians playing in various locations, chatting on about whatever. There's all kinds of folk of literally every walk of life, from the senior meritocrates right down to the guy whose job it is to sweep streets. Everybody's here. This is because there's so much going on in the city right now, because of the spring flood and all of those trading vessels. The governor is putting on a big party just to show how affluent the city is, and everybody is here to take part. So this place is just heaving with people, and you can clearly see this train snaking its way through with a dwarf, a trench coat, and a very confused Alexandri, and a couple 50 other people following along, making its way through the crowd from one side of the field all the way through over to the area where Lucas is in the process of sorting out with Spider exactly how this is all going to work. Hi there.
I wonder who all those people are going to see. That'll be exciting. We should go watch, Lucas.
Jasper,
Yeah.
they're coming this way.
Right. Oh, that means it's probably a sword fight. That's exciting. You're good at sword fighting. You should fight.
Eye on the prize. Jasper, here, have a drink of water. And I'm just going to grab a thing of water from the nearest person.
Yeah, I'm just going to because there are basically folk wandering around making sure that water and stuff is
Wonderful.
present.
And I said to him, have you eaten?
Before, yes.
How long before?
I don't. Well, I mean, it's,
All right. I'm getting some food for you as well.
I know what food tastes like.
Of course you do. We all do. I'm going to then grab the nearest hot dog or whatever.
Yeah, I'm just going to say the common local delicacy is what happens when you take shish to hook and make a hamburger out of it.
Great, nice. So essentially, I am doing to Jasper what the coach or the trainer does to the boxer before going into a fight.
You're the one going into
I'm massaging Jasper's shoulders. I'm like giving him the pep talk. It's like, you've got
this stupid coat.
that's it.
So I have to talk about you and how good you are.
Of course, and everything that my opponent does, who I still don't know who that is.
Oh, luckily, I'm real good at lying.
Great. I need you to try and make me feel great about this fight, as much as possible.
I'm only teasing. You're the best fighter I know, Lucas. You'll be fine.
Thank you. More like that.
I can do better. Don't worry.
Oh, I believe you.
All right. And it's almost on cue, just as a dwarf and his 50-odd person entourage is arriving. The current bout, which has basically been mostly running to a stalemate, basically literally it wound up being 3 versus 2 out of 5, and the last battle has been going for the past 45 seconds straight, getting nowhere. And for anyone who's ever fought a martial art, 45 seconds straight is torturous, but finally that's come to an end. And the master of the master marshal calls out that they would like Anguir, Edgewater, and Suldur Seronthius to make themselves present in the midfield.
That's us.
That wasn't my name.
No, that's the opponent.
Oh. Now, don't worry about them. No one's even going to remember who they are in a minute.
Let's hope so. Wonderful. I'm going to look around to see if I can see this dwarf.
Oh gosh, yes. Actually, so at this point, as you guys are getting closer, Ulrum will lean over to Alexandria and say, "Point him out to me, would you, when we get close?" Okay, Chantal, you just
hear
gone
you,
silent
Chantal.
again. So it's clearly not your microphone that's the problem.
Ah.
Still can't hear you. Clap your hands for a sec.
I wasn't saying anything.
Okay,
That's
there you
why
are.
you couldn't hear.
Okay, now you.
Back.
I've switched it round again. She does. She points him out.
Okay, very good. All right, so, okay, so, all right, her I know, he's over there, so, okay, we'll stand over here. At this point, he just sort of takes control. He's like, I want you to stand over here to my left, I need you to stand here to my right, you three stand over there, and basically he very quickly arranges everyone by a combination of height and social status to form this little sort of curtain around him, with him standing in the middle of you all. Are you two going to argue with him about any of this?
Alexandri no to?
He's a little heavy-handed, but it kind of makes sense what he's doing. I think it's probably the best way of doing it.
No.
It just winds up putting Chevalier on one side and Alexandria on the other.
I mean, that
Yeah, that's a
I don't
problem.
mind. I mean, it's more just not listening to him at that point.
I was just gonna say,
I'm not gonna like he's clearly organized everyone else, but it's just sort of it's like and just make my way over. I wouldn't just be.
Is it all standing room, Michelle, or are there
so
like
I was
seat
just gonna
stands?
say, it's so there's interest. So there's a bunch of chairs close. By which I mean, so you've got the edge of the ring, which, as I say, is a raised platform about 45 centimeters up. Then you've got about a 2 meter, oops, I tripped and have a weapon in my hand as I take a header towards the crowd gap. There's a rope. There's about another meter, and then there's about 3 rows of chairs. And then there's everyone crowded around that. So folk who need a chair are sitting. Folk who don't need chairs are standing, is the best way of putting it.
Would most of the people sitting be like aristocracy? Is that generally the?
Actually, no.
Or-
It literally
no.
does seem to be. You see people just sitting to take a rest or whatever, or there's a few folk, folk who perhaps are a little bit elderly or what have you, who tiring easily, whatever the reason is, are occupying the chairs. And as they, and then you see people coming and going from chairs, and then there's the greater crowd wedged around. It's not all Sinru. It's not all Sinru.
Okay.
So it actually seems to be that people are actually using the chairs for what they're for.
Wonderful. Great. I'm going to walk forward towards where they ask us and grab Jasper to make sure he's coming with me.
Okay, sure.
Just
As we make our way like down to the ring, I'm going to jump up on top of one of like the poles that holds the rope that like stops like people from getting to the ring.
Yep.
So that I'm like standing above the crowd.
Gosh, all right. I think at that point you're showing off because it's not a telephone pole; it's a fence.
Oh yeah.
So
It's not.
I'm going to need some kind of a roll to justify that
Okay.
behavior.
Let's.
What do you think?
I imagine an agility roll.
I think that's
will
reasonable, yeah.
Suffice.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah. Oops.
A 17.
Oh gosh, yeah, no problem. So you're not quite balancing on toes, but easily able to leap up, to bound up on top of the post and perch there, if you will, looking pretty calm about the whole thing. There's some clapping and look at me, man, kind of thing.
And I just hold my hands up in the air. My lords, my ladies, and everybody else here not accustomed to a goose down pillow. Today, you find yourselves equals, for you are all equally blessed, for I have the pride, the privilege, nay, the pleasure of introducing to you a knight sired by night. I present to you a man who can trace his lineage back beyond the founding of the Confederacy. I first met him atop a mountain near Sapphire Run, praying to Saint Miradala's Lady of Justice, asking forgiveness for the lizard folk blood spilt by his sword. Next, he amazed me still further on the mid-realm border when he saved a fatherless beauty from the horrible clutches of her dreadful uncle. Then spent he a year in silence, just to better understand the sound of a whisper. A knight who turned down the honor of the elite of capital so that he might follow his grandfather's footsteps and explore the frontier. And so without gilding the lily, with no more ado, I give to you the seeker of serenity, the protector of foreign virginity, the enforcer of our divinity, the one, the only, Engwyr Lucas Edgewater!
That is absolutely brilliant. I'm going to actually allow you to have an advantage on a performance roll for that.
Remind me what stat that is, because I don't think I'm that good at it.
Just gonna say, that awkward part where you're completely unskilled. Yes.
Unless this qualifies as deception.
I was just gonna say, well, you.
Like
I was just gonna say, well, bluntly, you are straight up lying because
Giving a speech is our first thing on.
It is absolutely none of it true.
So I'm willing to. I'm just gonna say. So, yeah. I mean, I think honestly, you can either roll just straight up brute. It's either deception or it's presence.
I think, despite the fact that it is all non-true, and the fact that I'm better at deception, the truth is it's about the performance, right? So I'm gonna roll presence.
I will absolutely.
So I gain an advantage. I will also spend the legend point you gave me to give myself another advantage,
Sure.
and a +1 at the end.
All right, so you're going to. Okay, so legend point getting spent. Hang on a second here while I update the appropriate and legend points. 1 sec here. That is fantastic. You've been studying that all week, haven't you? There we go, saved. All right.
So I rolled a natural 19 on my d20.
Wow.
And because of the advantage, one of the d4 exploded, which makes it a total of 6 plus 19, 25, +1 for using a legend point. So 26.
26. Wow, that is fantastic.
That dice is rolling real well the last couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been going good.
All right, so hang on a second here. Let me take a real fast look at something. No, but not that. Where'd it go? There we are. A 26. You are beyond epic. So I'm going to say.
Damn straight.
I'm going to say that in the upcoming bout, Lucas will have two advantage dice, essentially in a pool that he can use.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, boy.
Well, the other herald, the other fighter, turns out to be, one sec while I grab name, Shamash Sironithus. She's an elf. Her herald, also an elf, manages to give her introduction in 2 languages simultaneously. Both in Elvish and in common trade.
Very cool. And sad no one's paying attention.
I was just going to say, rolled a 23, in fact.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm not going to spout on at length, but Suldir, by the way, Lucas, is soldier. It's the rank directly below Engwyr.
Okay.
So it's Night Warrior is the best translation for Suldir. So rank I mean, just out of the can, you know she's not as skilled as you are, but her herald does an excellent job of making it obvious that, you know, the other one's mouthy, but this one rocks. Is sort of the message. So you're both called to the middle of the field, fairly burly, yet well-dressed half-orc looks at you both, passes you both your weapons.
Right.
You're going to be fighting. So you have two options. Well, actually, it doesn't pass you weapons. Points you at a weapons rack. So your options are: you can take sword and shield, mace and shield, two-handed sword, or polearm. So you pick what you want to fight with.
Right.
They're all, quote, wasters. They are rebated, so you can't actually hurt each other.
Yeah.
And basically, the edges are as you go pick, and you're used to this. So the idea is you come back. He marks the striking edge of your weapons with a bright chalk that pretty much glows in this lighting. It's all but fluorescent. And so wherever you hit your opponent, it'll leave a big splash of powder and paint. Very obvious. All right.
So I'm going to walk forward and I'm going to grab the sword and the shield. But while I do that, I'm feeling the weight of both and getting that calibrated in my head and mind and body. I'm also watching the soldier.
Yeah.
Like most of this isn't so much. Yes, there's part of that getting the balance, but I want to see what she does in terms of how she holds the weapon that she chooses, in terms of like this thing, it's as much information about her as possible just by watching.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and make a perception roll.
Yay for perception, not having anything. That is a 9.
That is a 9. Okay. She clearly knows what she's doing. Walks straight over the weapon rack, no hesitation whatsoever, hefts up a shield, hefts up a mace, gives it a couple of experimental, end over end tosses, catches it in her hand. She's... with a 9, I'm going to say Lucas's impression is if she's a soldier, it's because she's been passed over for promotion.
Okay, great.
So
That's good to know.
So crowd, of course, is all buzzy and cheery. And then the master marshal is going to will gesture to Lucas and say, please declare who you are fighting for in these five matches.
I am fighting for Elorum Trumak, the Knight Captain.
Immediately, everyone. There's a little bit of a kind of moment. Apparently, everyone knows that name. And then there's a whole bunch of clapping, and he bows and gestures to everyone. And obviously, people know this guy, for lack of, but there's open surprise that you are fighting for him, and it's not that everyone didn't know he was there, just no one realized why, and so now there's a bit of a buzz that and
I'll look over in his direction and just a little nod, acknowledgement.
Yep. Shamas will, when asked, will indicate she's fighting for Velasa, who's a young elven woman standing off to a side. And there's a few moments where she strides over, gets a quick hug and a kiss, and comes back out in the middle of the field. The master marshal looks at you two. So, okay, put your helms on. Do any of you have questions of the rules or the conduct expected here?
Where's the bathroom?
Somebody beside you points at a row of outhouses off to a side,
Jasper.
and the Marshall
Jasper, you can hold it.
Got it, boss.
So he looks back and forth at you. Soldier shakes her head. She's done this a few
My
times.
apologies. My apologies for my herald.
He leans forward and says, just so you're aware, there's a lot of very interesting people in this crowd. Bravado is appreciated. Gauche is not. He nods. Very well, strike your poses, prepare yourselves. And he walks back off the field.
Great.
Right.
I'm going to go and shake the hand. Go to shake the hand.
She was about to do, as soon as the marshal took his 2 steps back, turned and walked away, she immediately stuck the mace under an arm and was going to do the exact same thing. And that's common. It's pretty rare. The only circumstance under which you've ever seen 2 combatants not want to shake and offer each other, well wishes, there are some serious rivalries in the tournament circuit around Shining Capital, and there are there are a couple of pairings where they just kind of glare at each other across the way, maybe slap shields, and that's the extent of it. They won't physically go within anything less than striking distance. But that's unusual. And like I say, it's the whole F1 race mentality. It's the best way of explaining it. Some rivalries just run bitter. All right. So what I'm going to do, the way we're going to do this, really, because I don't want it to drag too long, is we will do back and forth. You are basically... we'll do a back and forth where you'll attack, you make your roll, she'll attack,
Right.
and the objective is to get a clean hit. Double kills, as it were, don't count. So if you're constantly mashing each other upside the head, then you're getting nowhere, because they don't do double defeats. So any simultaneous doesn't count. So if you both hit, all right?
Great.
So she's fighting with a mace, and it kind of chunky. And you've got the sword, right?
I've got a sword.
Alrighty.
As excited as I am for this, Michelle, do we need to take a break?
Oh gosh, yeah, it is that time, isn't it? What time is it? Gosh, yes, 20 after 10. Yes, absolutely.
Let's have a break.
Yeah, let's do a quick break. Let's do a break. Fair enough. Take care of yourselves. So yeah, we'll be right back, and we'll go whack, and we'll let Lucas whack people over the head after we've all had a chance to go to the real bathroom. All right, back in a few. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. So, Lucas, pretty clear on you're pretty clear on how this is going to work.
Certainly are.
All right.
In fact, actually, I have many questions, but also I'm enjoying just like going for it. So
Right. Fancy.
it's more that Drew has questions. Lucas
what
is
are
fine.
Drew's questions?
Oh, just like who goes first?
I was going to say, well, the
all
whole
those
point of
things.
this is it's so there are two ways to approach this. Is that, of course, if you quote double kill, in other words, you both roll to hit, you both hit. In other words, you both then it doesn't count. So there are a couple of ways of doing it, because what you're trying to do is essentially, if you will, the Hollywood of you both scoring a hit is you wind up in fact both basically parrying each other's weapons and a little bit of shove going on, very dramatic, but no actual points scored. Make sense? That's how we're going to do it. So sort of the nightmare scenario. So where you have a couple of advantage points given to you by your herald for their remarkable performance, and you would be aware you've got 2, she's got 1 because of the performance her herald was able to give her. That would be, and if you decide you desperately want to ensure that there's a tiebreaker, you can go ahead and use one of those advantage to try to either to increase your guard or to increase your attack. That's the way I'm going to let you use that advantage, to temporarily increase your guard. In other words, reduce the odds that she hits you. Makes sense? So if you're finding you're getting beaten around but not unable to achieve anything, that might be a good way of, as opposed to just hoping for a hit miss combination in your favor, you can use that point. All right? That makes sense.
Right. Yep, it does. And do I have access to Banes?
So here's the way it's going to work. Keep in mind you're not trying to kill anybody. So lethal damage Bane is probably icky for what we're doing here. But for example, she has got.
There are a couple of there are a couple there that I want to. I would want to play with.
Yeah. So stunned, force move, knockdown, those sorts of things, I think are perfectly reasonable. Again, keep in mind this is all about looking good, not about maiming your opponent. This isn't real war, if you will. So
no, it's a show fight.
Yeah, exactly. So very much in the style you saw of the jousting, this is all about you looking good to make your inspiration look good. Okay?
Great.
All right.
Of course.
Okay. All right, ready?
Yeah.
All right. So go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so I'm going in with my sword shield going. I guess there's a little whistle that goes off.
Yeah, I was going to say so. Basically, the master marshal will shout out, take arms, prepare yourselves for the first point attack, and you charge to charge together. And how are you going to do this?
I'm gonna sound her out by. Just rolling an ordinary attack.
Yep.
So I do believe it's a d20 plus 2d6.
Yep. I just need to check out how the defensive ability, because you both have shields, which it
just increases.
+1 to guard. The defensive ability uses up your major action in your next turn.
Gotcha.
But allows you to make a roll to try and beat the roll that hit you.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I think, in fact, then what's actually going to happen, she's going to use defensive 1, so you're going to charge in to sound her out, and she's basically going to stand her ground and try and basically just bounce the shot. I think it's...
Great.
So, yeah, so you rolled...
I rolled a 25.
That is a nice roll. Okay. So let's just double check defensive here.
The shield would give a bunch of advantage for what she's doing, depending on the size of the shield.
Yeah, so I'm just looking here. I can't. So it's she has the small shield. I'm just trying to find it in the rules. Naturally can't right now. So yes, so I've actually got her stat sheet, by the way, should be visible now. So she has a small shield, which gives her forceful and defensive 1. And can someone find that page number for me here? It's under the equipment section, I know that. Defensive armor. Where are we at here? No. Properties. D armor. Required. defense. Yeah, I know it's here somewhere. Anyone find the actual chapter and verse on it? And give me
We have the great moustache in chat.
Oh.
Advantage 1 defend rolls plus 1 guard.
Advantage 1 on defense rolls. Okay. So, I'm going to need to make a note of that somewhere else. I've got a cheat sheet of common stuff I use, but there we go. Okay. So that increases her guard. So her guard is a 15. That would make it a 16. But she's going to then, yes, make a defensive maneuver. So she essentially rolls against you, I believe it is.
Well, she rolls and uses the roll instead of her guard.
Okay, so...
But it costs her ability to attack.
Right, and that's exactly what she's looking for. Very much, in fact, she's actually sort of doing the same thing that Lucas is doing, which is, quote, feeling it out by just saying, okay, can I just kind of stall this guy by bouncing his attacks for a little bit, or do I need to make this quick? Do I get to play with my food or not? So how do you make a defense roll, core mechanic?
So might or agility or appropriate.
Okay, so it would be might, and show with
extraordinary.
Yeah, for her in this case, it would be might. That is her best option. So that she's going to roll 3d6 instead of 2d6 because she has advantage 1. And in fact, actually rolls the same as her guard, which is a 16. So Lucas is going to charge in, and will be able to land the opening blow pretty cleanly. In fact. You can see what she was trying to do, and you're able to work around it. So that's going to be,
right.
And there's going to be a lot of clapping from the crowd, and there'll be a call from the Master Marshal to the first point to Angwer Lucas at Angwer Edgewater, right. And there's all kinds of clapping and stuff, and yeah.
I reckon. It's pretty amazing, but I reckon the two of us would have just learned a lot about how each other's styles of fighting. So, in one go, that's all you've got really to size an opponent up. So,
yes. So
great.
She's kind of left herself on the back foot for that because she doesn't actually get to attack on the next one. So, because that's the use of the defensive. She hadn't actually expected you to be that good. She was just figuring, okay, let's see what he's got. Whack! Oh, he's got that. Right then, bad plan.
Yeah, great. So is this what? So what was her guard? 16.
Her guard is 15, but she's got the shield, like it makes it a 16.
Ah, bugger! If I got a 26, I would have had a bane.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know that I need that. Is this fight like fluid? So do we reset each time?
No, it's just you basically once the call has been made, you just keep going until there's a call of 5 points. Until it's best out of 5. So until someone hits 3.
Great. So I'm going straight in for another one, and I'm going to use an advantage on that.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm rolling another 2d6 and taking the top 2, right? Is that how it works?
No, you're only
3d6.
Yeah, it's
3d6.
yes. So
you're roll 3d6, but you only take the highest of the 2 highest of them.
Yes. So advantage 1 gives you an extra dice. You take the 2 highest to the base. Yeah. Whatever your skill is.
Glad I take the 2 highest there. 23.
23. So that is an immediate second point scored in no time at all. Now keep in mind, this isn't just you kind of. There's a lot of clashing and bashing and stuff, and there's both of you looking for angles, and they're jostling around the field. The crowd is shouting, but you're able to strike a blow in. And you'll kind of hear a mutter of irritation because you both got your helmets on and stuff. You've only going to sort of partially see your faces, sort of anime style helmets where you can just see the eyes, kind of thing. But yeah,
great.
Under this first clash of blows, Spider has made their way over to Chevalier and Alexandre, and is just like, hey, you guys are here. Have you seen Lucas? He'd love this.
What the hell were you thinking?
What do you mean?
What's wrong with you?
Nothing.
Steven?
Oh, look! The big one got another hit.
And the best part is that Alexandria can't tell if he's trolling or not. All right.
And suddenly, why you do not drink?
All right. All right. So that brings us around to the next pass. Again, this is, like I say, the fighting is ongoing. What we're basically simulating is that moment where a decisive action occurs, right? So there's a lot of jockeying. You guys are clashing. There's crashing of weapons on shields. Jostling back and forth, circling each other, looking for openings, and then the die rolls, as I say, represent decisive moments.
Yeah, and she's good, right? Like,
a 16 guard is well above average. I mean, she's, it's just bad decision in the opening moment, and you're just better than she is.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have another. I'm trying to this time, exploit one of her weaknesses that I've kind of built up. Mm-hmm. And I do.
And
she's kind of.
She has an advantage dice. She's going to use it on this attack because she basically needs desperately to be able to hit you. Doesn't want to lose. Doesn't want to lose 5-0.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see what happens.
Wow! I rolled 3 1s for her.
Oh wow! I got an exploding die.
Oh my gosh! All right, I think that's just going to finish it right there.
Do they keep exploding?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's 2 exploding die.
Yeah, she rolled 3 1s and a 7, so her total is 9.
I don't think this has ever happened to me before. 33.
Welcome to Exploding Dice.
Yep. So you are 33 minus 9 is 24. So you have exceeded the target number by 24, if I've done my math right. Now, math isn't my thing, by the way, so I might be wibble.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Yeah. So is it for every 10 you inflict a bane, or is it just 10?
I think it's just 10, right?
Yeah, that's why I think it is too. Okay, so you're definitely going to...
Yeah, I don't think you can get a second bane.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if that's... Okay, so yeah, so you're definitely going to be able to throw a bane onto that. Just 10. Thank you, Great Mustache. Thank you.
Amazing.
Fantastic roll.
I reckon... Well, I'm not trying to really... I'm not trying to hurt her. Yeah. So it's nothing big, but I reckon there's a couple that are popping for. I reckon it is like hit with such force that her mace is knocked out of her hand, completely disarmed, and her shield goes as well and falls to the floor. As I come in with a big blow. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, explain to me what happens. So you guys are jostling and fighting. You come in with this great blow. Keep in mind, you got your sword and shield, so it's one-handed, and blam, then what?
Yeah, so she's coming at me. And it's when she comes in for an attack, that's when it's one of those... So Lucas has learnt to have to deal with fighting in quite a different style to a lot of other people. He's had to adapt because of his leg,
right.
And so he's going to use it, and he hasn't really used it yet. But what he's going to do is essentially pivot on his right leg to get behind her, and what he used the butt of the sword from behind essentially to wind her enough that it sends a shock down through across her back.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine. It's kind of like a bit more martial.
You're just rolling along the face of her shield, pommel of the sword into the smaller of her back, cry of pain, and basically her fingers go numb, and she's gonna. Yeah. And so disarmed. At which point there's an immediate call for disarming your opponent. The oh kind of thing cry goes through the crowd. And
then I'm gonna go and pick up her weapon and hand it to her.
Classy. The crowd is going to go berserk. All kinds of clapping and cheering, and she will actually bow before taking the weapon back from you. Tip her helmet up against yours and say, "I appreciate the kindness."
It was a good, and I tell her it was a good fight.
So all kinds of over in the crowd.
And then I'm gonna look to.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say.
I'm gonna look to my brother and nod and be like, I reckon this big kind of smile, just like up until then it's all been like focus, but then
Yeah.
and then he looks at the crowd. I'll look at the crowd and.
So over beside Alexandri, Olorum kind of tips his head beside to the halfling, his herald, whispers something. You're guessing in Dwarven. Does anyone speak Dwarven? Okay,
I don't think so.
okay. So a bit of a conversation back and forth, and they kind of shake their head, and the halfling shakes her head, and he gestures back, and he basically does a thumb gesture over his shoulder, and she nods and disappears into the crowd. So yeah,
Something wrong?
Compared to what? He says. Any little quirk of a smile.
You just sent someone off.
Yes, I did. Excellent fighting, don't you think?
Yes.
Let's keep watching. Your friend's doing very well.
Hey, Alexandre, that's Lucas.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Meanwhile, back on the field. So her one use of her advantage dice rolled her a 1 to go with the other 2 1s, so did absolutely nothing for her. So let's see how the next one goes. I have this sensation that Lucas is going to be getting out of this one pretty much unscathed. We'll see what happens here.
Okay.
She rolls a 20. 24, all total. 16 plus 8.
Ah, that hits.
Oh, that does. Okay. And let's see how you rolled.
Yeah, my guard is 21.
Wow. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead and roll. Let's see what you come up with.
Let's go. I need to hit her, otherwise
Otherwise,
it's a
that counts as a point against you. Yep.
And what's hers? She's a 16. All right, here we go. All exploding dice.
Good grief. Again. All right.
No. This is like, it's not. I'm on a 12 right now, so I need to get it meets or beats. So I need to get a 4.
Yeah, you need a 4 on that d6.
4, 5, or 6.
Yeah.
It's a 2.
All right.
I miss.
All right, so I was just gonna say, so there's a clash of weapons, and there's that moment of ouch straight across as she gets the mace right across the base of your helmet, kind of snaps your head around, dances back, looking slightly surprised. Oh, I hit it! Fantastic, awesome. There's some cheering and stuff in the crowd, and
Okay.
at this point, obviously the crowd is paying an awful lot of attention. This is just more, people have actually started filtering in. First off is that, Olarum is over here. So and he's, oh wow, who's this Edgewater guy? I don't know. And then of course the fighting is actually looking rather spectacular too. So yeah.
All right.
So it's 2-1, I believe. No,
Yeah.
2-1. Yeah.
3-1.
3-1.
3-1.
3-1. All right. Next pass.
Okay.
And she rolls a total of 13. So that's a miss.
I miss as well. That's a 5. That's an 8, a 9 for me.
All right. So
Great. I'm glad we both miss.
yeah, I was just gonna say, lots of weapons bouncing off of shields, parries, that sort of thing, not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
Focus, buddy. Focus.
I'm trying. I'm
Speaking
trying.
of, don't forget about focused actions, which is giving up minor actions and move actions to gain an advantage to a major action.
Oh, that's interesting. So because they're basically in a ring, they don't really need to use a lot of movement, do they? So, okay, that's interesting. All right.
I think
Might as well.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, okay. So that basically that means each of these attack. Okay, so the next pass, I think. Okay, so give up minor actions and move action to gain one advantage to a major action. Okay, so at the point you're basically not trying to break distance. By definition, no one's running away from this fight. So all of the movement is circling, it's planting, it's bashing. It's basically a boxing match. So I don't think. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So yeah, all right, cool. So okay,
great.
Then this next roll, she'll be rolling with advantage.
It does mean you
course.
wouldn't be able to
I
use
think
the end action,
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
I think that's quite amazing that
Well, it just turns out that in
Jasper's words focus remind them both to focus.
well, the other thing too is that almost by definition because of this format, using the defensive, if the defensive action only is valuable if you have a significant advantage over your opponent, because you give up your attack on the next round and it's 3 out of 5. So
It also means you can protect someone else, but
Yes,
like in
exactly.
this scenario.
yeah. All right, one more go. Let's see what happens.
You're right.
And that's a miss for her. That's
23.
23. Bang! That's definitely a hit against against a 16, 17. So yes, decisively, Lucas ends the match with the last point.
Boom.
So there's all kinds of cheering and whatever. Lots of she'll pull her helmet off, give her head a bit of a shake, and offer her hand to you, congratulate you on your win. Where are you from?
The docks.
She kind of looks at you with a smile. She says, I'm not familiar with that military unit. She laughs, but she nods. Tell the commander of the docks that they train well down that way, she says with a laugh.
I said, I will. She'll be on it. You fought well.
Wow, yeah. You get so used to fighting the same people all the time. That was great, she says, kind of a bit of a grin of enthusiasm. She clears the field.
Okay. Wonderful. I'm gonna nod my head to the umpire, the ref.
Yep.
And then with my whoever
He'll wave
owns
over actually when you nod to him.
All right, I'll go over.
So, and this is something Lucas won't be surprised by this question, by the way. This is normal. He'll say, are you going to hold the field for another match, or are you done for now?
I'll hold the field.
All right then. So take a break. Get yourself a drink. And we'll have your next challenger prepare.
Great. I'm going to walk over to Jasper and Chevalier and Alexandre. Jasper, you're meant to have my water ready.
He's not very good at this.
I hold out the water skin to you.
Thank you.
It's empty. I really need to pee.
Go.
Okay.
It's not long.
Okay, you got this.
A few moments, almost on cue, as Spider's heading one way. There's sort of the pan shot Spider going one way, the Halfling in the foreground going the other way. And Halfling comes over to Lucas, and pretty clear voice. And now Michelle is having troubles reading his own writing. There, Lord Trollmac sends you his tankard, and he's got a basically fairly hefty dwarven flagon. Yeah.
Oh. I will take it and said, please. And I'll have a drink.
Yep. It's basically a weak mixture of honey and lemon mixed in pretty much cold water. So
Nice.
Yeah, it's a little bit of sugar, a little bit of palate cleanser, and a whole lot of water.
Oh, great. No, exactly what I need.
Yeah.
And I say to the halfling, please pass on my thanks to the knight captain.
He's impressed, she says, and she takes the tankard and toddles back over to where he is. And
I'm going to look at Chevalier and Alexandre and be like,
so,
beaming.
what's going on in Chevalier's head at this point?
Well, there really isn't anything quite like an exciting match to really make it memorable.
Okay. Alexandre?
He's going to go again.
That's what it looks like.
That's what's going on.
All right. All right. And so there will be a couple of moments later. There will be a call across the field that Angwir Lancium of Gatberg and Angwir Lucas Edgewater make themselves prepared for battle.
Uh-oh. It's an anywhere. All right. I'm looking around for Jasper.
Mm-hmm.
Is he back?
Definitely not.
Alexandre.
What?
Alexandre, come over here.
What?
Come. So, Jasper's gone. I need you to announce me.
No.
I need someone to announce me. I can't do this without... I need a herald. You saw what Jasper just did? I need you to do the same thing. Not word for word. I mean, that was incredibly verbose, but I need you to do something to, I don't know, at least make me look good. If not better than I already do.
Wow. Okay. Great. Sure. Fine.
You can start anytime. I'm
Oh, now.
Yes. Yeah, now. I'm about to fight. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Best of luck.
Alexandre, what's going through Alexandre's head now?
Help, help. What? No, help, please.
I thought that might be what was going through her head right now.
Who knew? Okay. Alexandre is going to get up on stage and say, whoever it is that comes to claim victory against Angwir Edgewater, I'd better watch out because he shines with the light of the sun, and she's going to use the boon aura to create light around him.
I like it. I will. That is delicious cheese, and I'm quite happy to allow you to roll with advantage 1 on either your. Let's see. That would be I'll persuasion or presence. I think are appropriate here.
I mean, both of them are pretty good. We're gonna go with presence.
All right. Oof. Okay.
That is an 18.
18. All right. 18. Let's see here. That is challenging. It is not heroic, so Lucas is not going to get an advantage from that. But there's going to be lots of cheering. The crowd is well disposed. And the other bard is a gnome who hovers to the middle of the field, literally, practically riding a skateboard made of a Chinese pinwheel, which is fountaining sparks and everything else. Literally with his banner that's drifting over his head as an illusion which he is crafting. And the GM rolled a 41.
Whoa,
You
Alexandria's
said
goal.
so many words in that sentence. but
I'm just going to say he goes on for about 45 seconds. Apparently, there are dead dragons who there are dragons who have not died but were driven from the field by the very sight of the Angwir Gatberg. Etc., etc. Seas have parted, suns rise and fall, walks on water, doesn't use the bathroom, terrifies dragons, etc., etc. It's quite a monologue.
I like this guy's style.
Yeah, me too.
Doesn't use the bathroom isn't as impressive as it sounds. Like that has elements. It's just like
That was
that's kind of just gross.
natural. So that was a natural 20 on his bard roll. So a 20 plus an 18 for a 38, and then another 3, which is a 31 all total. So that's kind of heapy. We'll use
Chevalier it just says that was very impressive. I did not already want him to win. I would now want him to win.
So that's going to give him 3 advantage dice to work with over the upcoming battle.
Fuck.
That is, we yeah, I'm just
I'll let us say that.
Yeah, bleep. Yeah,
Can we bleep? We can go and bleep the YouTube, can't we?
I'm just going to say we'll have to.
Not like we're live or old.
We're live.
Yeah, awkward.
Everyone that's watching, I'm so sorry, and all and
So just by way of explanation, the channel policy is we try and minimize swearing a lot. When Eric told me that, I burst out laughing because really was what he's asking is an ex-Canadian sailor and 4 Aussies to watch their language. I think we do surprisingly well given circumstances. So
that's the first one in 5 weeks for me.
I feel like we've been doing all right.
So
Yep.
let's let the battle begin.
In all seriousness, apologies.
Yep. So what's going to happen? He's so again, it's the same format as before. Choose your weapons, and Lancium will shake your hand and say, "So what are you picking?"
I'm going with the usual, the sword and shield.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice. He says, waits for you to pick your sword and shield, and immediately walks over and picks up a bastard sword.
Just the bastard sword.
Just the bastard sword.
Okay. Can I do the same thing I was trying to do before, which is kind of figure out what's his deal, like where he's at?
Sure. A perception roll, I think, is reasonable.
That's a 6.
With a 6, you can tell he's holding a bastard sword.
Yeah, great. No,
He's incredibly neutral in his body language. He's just he's literally just kind of draped over the pommel while he's waiting for the master marshal to give the prepare and lay on.
wonderful.
So, and yeah, make yourselves ready. And basically what he does, and it's really the first indication that maybe this guy's used a sword before, is he basically, with the tip of his toe, kicks the sword, and it kind of rolls around his arm the way he has it, and it drops into his hand as he sets back into his fighting stance.
Great. Wonderful.
For this shot, if we're doing focus stuff, this guy should gain 2 advantage.
Yep.
Just to
make it harder.
If you're doing like the standing still fight.
Yeah. Because he doesn't have a shield. He's two-handing, yeah?
He's using two-handed weapon.
Yep.
Great.
All right.
Amazing.
So, alrighty. So it's the same format as before. His guard is an 18.
Okay.
So technically, you've still got you're still harder to hit than he is.
Yeah. But he can hit me.
Okay, I was just gonna say he's got pretty good odds. Yeah, I mean his fight. So. Bastard sword, by the way, for those of you, it's essentially a long sword. It's the phrase you'll hear is bastard sword. That's the English term. The more common, the other common one you'll hear is a hand and a half. It's the reason they call it a bastard sword is it's because it's too long to be a one-handed handle, and it's too short to be a two-hander. So you wind up sort of grabbing the pommel if you want to wield it both hands. So the idea, what it does is it allows you a lot of flexibility. You can strike very quickly one-handed or the other-handed, or then double up and hit like a pile driver. So there's a lot of flexibility. And he's as you guys are starting to, the layout is given, you guys start moving in towards each other and circling, and he's actively switching the weapon back and forth between hands as you guys are trying to exploit, open one side or the other as you guys are starting to fight. All right. So he's actually, so he's going to, he'll be rolling with advantage 2. And he's going to hold his bardic advantage, if you will, in reserve, just in case you turn out to be more of a handful than he thought.
Okay.
So yeah. So let's
I'm gonna feel it out.
What's the second advantage for if he's not using the bardic one?
Someone told me that because he was using a two-handed weapon, he gets 2 points of advantage.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, he gets 1 point advantage for using a two-handed weapon, and if he's using a focused action.
Yeah.
Yeah, focus action is the second. I didn't realize two-handed weapons had advantage. That's very cool.
Yep. So he rolled a natural 1 on the d20, and then he rolled so his 2 highest dice on his d6s are a 4 and a 6. So he's got a total of 11. Reroll the explode, and that's a 1. So I think.
Get there.
Yep. So that's a clean miss.
I got a 7.
Okay, so literally you two are clashing into each other's weapons and getting absolutely nowhere in the process. Yes, of course.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Going in again.
He kind of grins at you across the weapons and says, "You've done this before, haven't you?"
Oh, yes.
By the way, human.
It's at about this time that Spider is returning whilst doing his breaches.
Yeah, I
and
was going to say...
whatever commoner is going past, he like elbows and he says, "What's the name of the one with the two-handed sword?"
Lancium of Gatberg. He's really good. I like him.
Lancium?
Lancium, yeah.
Oh, what a pretentious name.
Oh, yeah, but he's fantastic.
All right. And I'll just keep moving.
Alrighty. I'm gonna go in it for another.
All right.
What's his... What is his armor class?
His
guard?
Guard is... his guard is 18.
I got 18.
All right, so you're going to hit him.
Nice.
He is going to take... so he's got advantage 2. He's going to take disadvantage 1, and he's going to multi-attack. So he's going to whirlwind you, basically striking you from both sides. So... that cancels out that dice. So he's got a 14 on the d20. He's got a 6 and a 5 on the d6.
Doesn't he get disadvantage 2? Isn't it disadvantage 2 for each?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
Each
sure.
attack.
I'm just going to say that.
It is. It's equal to the number of strikes.
Okay, then yeah. So then then that'll cancel out the two. That'll cancel out those 2 dice. So okay, so it still works out. So he's rolling 4 dice. He loses 2 for the disadvantage.
So it's just 2 dice.
So that's
Yeah.
14, a 6, and a 5. Rerolling the 6. So 25 so far. 29 all total.
Yeah, we both hit.
Yeah, there's a crash of weapons together. You're going to strike him, but he is, I think, going to inflict knockdown and stunned upon you.
Really?
Yeah, 20. Just because he's multi-bane specialist, and he beat your roll by. So there's no point scored, but
I thought he beats my guard by 10.
oh, what is your guard?
21.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. For some reason I thought, yeah, I screwed that up. Never mind, I didn't say that.
That's okay.
Meanwhile, back to the range.
I don't want to be knocked out.
But yeah, sorry. I'm okay. So 29 versus 21. No, he didn't. Oh, he's short by 2. He's short by 2. For some reason, his guard. I was mentally going off his guard at 18. So yeah.
Oh, right.
I screwed that up. No, it's my fault. Okay, cool. So yeah, all right. So calamitous clash of weapons, staggering back and forth from the force of the blows, not really managing to get anywhere. So it's still 0-0 at this point.
Yeah.
Third pass.
Right, I'm going to try... Yeah, another pass.
All right.
Here we go.
Actually good enough that he's actually going to start using up some of those his bardic inspiration, if you will. So I'm going to drag out another d6 here. You have just gotten to the I actually have to take this one seriously stage of the fight.
He's done that to me.
So he's going to go multi-attack again, try and score 2 points in one go.
Shoot.
All right. Okay. So what did you get? Your target number.
I got a
19.
23.
That's a hit. You're going to hit him. So he's rolled a 15, and then we're going to drop the 2 lowest dice, which in this case is a 1 and a 3. And then take of the balance the highest remaining 2. So that means he is going to roll 23. Both of you strike each other again, and you're looking at each other,
right.
and he looks at you across the, literally across the clash. You've got his sword pinned up against your shield, and you've kind of got your weapon wrapped around behind him, and he's got an arm jammed backwards. We could be doing this all night, you know that, right?
Yeah.
All right. It's time to tip. I think it's time to tip these tables.
Okay.
And so, from within the crowd, Spider is gonna yell, "Wait! Isn't that Latium the bastard? I heard he uses a bastard sword because he is a bastard." And I'm gonna try and apply the provoked bane to him.
Okay. That's going to be interesting. Go ahead. So how's that work?
I rolled deception against his resolve.
All right.
And if I succeed, he gets disadvantage 1 on all attacks that don't include me.
All right. Wow. Okay, so that is going to be his resolve is a 14. Let's see what you come up with.
That would be a 19.
19.
Alexandri takes a step away from Spider.
Oh, I'm not near you guys
Yeah,
anymore.
literally-
I'm on the other side of the
I'm
crowd.
just going to say there's several heads turning towards going on in the crowd. And there's this brief moment where he grits his teeth, looks over at you, looks at Lucas and says, "A moment, please." And he's going to actually step back and lower his guard for a second, and he's going to look over in the direction of wherever that voice came from, and he says, I've got 10 marks that says whoever came out with that one isn't brave enough to step out onto this field afterwards and have that discussion in purpose. I'll not have my family insulted in public. Either you fall
Spider just
silent,
makes like a loud farting noise.
at which point, okay, at that point, you're actually actively breaking social. So I'm going to roll for the crowd.
Can I? Can
I mean, I'm within
provoke-
like the commoners and stuff.
Yeah,
I think
no,
it's
that's
fine.
Can I provoke him to attack me?
Well, hang on a second. I'm going to roll. First off, I'm rolling perception. Can he tell based on the crowd reaction what's going on?
What, do I need to roll like a thing against that, or
I think I don't know. Are you actively hiding?
not really?
Not really. So I think it's a pretty. I think I'm just going to roll, and if it's not very high, then the answer is no, and if it's fairly high, then the answer is yes.
Yep.
So he open-ended. So he starts on 16 plus 4, so that's 20. Plus
That's pretty
6
good.
is 26, and then he's rolled a 30.
Yeah. I mean, I might beat it on stealth, but I won't try.
I was just going to say, so he's going to snap his fingers, gesture at someone, and well, a couple of bruisers start making their way through the crowd in Spider's general direction. He's
Yeah, that's fine.
just going to say, and Lancium will look back at Lucas and say, "My apologies for the interruption, my lord." And then he'll
So
drop his face guard down. Now, for Lucas, he's pissed. Just immediately that facial language. These fights are always done with the helmet up, with the visor up, so
Yeah.
everyone can see. So at the point he's dropped his visor, yeah, no, he's pissed.
Great. That's what I want. I want him to be angry.
Yeah.
So
there
he
are
gets-
some, by the way, Alexandri can hear people in the crowd booing at this point.
Doing
At me?
Well, it's hard to tell. I mean, if Alexandri wants to try and figure it out, she can just make a skill roll to try. But right now, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on. They can't. At a glance, the part of the crowd is booing. You can't tell if it's towards Lucas, if it's towards Lancium, if it's towards whoever the heckler was, if it's to the bruisers heading in the direction of the heckler. You're not sure. Hey, thank you very much, Lore Master. Appreciate that.
I would like to try to figure out who it is or to who they're directing it to.
Sure.
Perception?
Yeah. What do you think is appropriate?
I feel like perception's probably going to be the most likely.
Okay, that works.
$28.
28. That is nearly a legendary outcome. So I think Alexandri is sort of in her social zen and can easily tell that whoever the heckler was, Spider, that is a major social faux pas. That is a wow. So some of the
Yeah.
crowd are incredibly upset at basically for harshing their vibe, if you will. Everyone was here having fun, and now personal insults are being thrown. It's gone. Some people are obviously upset that that Lancium was openly baited and fell for it. And then there's some people who actually have, for whatever reason, are thinking that this is reflecting on Lucas. No one's yelling cheat, but there's an awful lot of the crowd is being grumpy. How about that?
Yeah. She's going to start to make her way in the direction of Spider.
Mm-hmm.
And she is going to be preparing to silence him.
Gotcha. Okay.
If she's not physically there, I'm going to try to
Just put a bubble around him.
impose silenced.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's going to get awkward because I normally wouldn't allow PvP at the table and casting spells. So it will be
It's fine.
entirely on Jamie basically saying, yeah, that he's okay with that as a
Yeah.
roleplay moment. But yeah. Fair.
Because I mean, if she were physically there, she would just clap a hand over his mouth. But because there's a crowd, she can't get through the crowd. So it's essentially that's what I'm trying to do.
Makes sense. So Chevalier, of course, cannot help but notice his ward heading off at a determined angle.
I'm not letting them get too far away, but at the same time, like if someone beats up Spider, I'm gonna. Oh no, I was too slow.
Oh dear. All right. Meanwhile, back out on the battlefield. So, all right.
So Michelle, mechanically, he has a disadvantage on all attacks.
Yep.
And he can use a minor action to attempt a resistance, which is just a straight D20. 10 succeeds, lower than 10 doesn't.
So I think.
But that means he can't do focused action if he does that.
Yeah, literally, it's going to cost him a dice either way. I think honestly, he's going to be just.
Well, a second dice that way.
Yeah, I think he's going to be sufficiently pissed and grumpy about it that he's just going to ignore, if you will, he's going to ignore the option to resist on the first go. He's just going to bloody ignore it and try and pound Lucas into the ground as a method of venting his unhappiness. Temper. So yeah. Okay. So he's still going to roll multi-attack. But it's going, which is going to be 2. So that gives him 2 points of disadvantage. There'll be another point.
So Great Moustache has just clarified in chat because what we were rolling was normally how you multi-target an attack, but a multi-attack is disadvantage 3 per attack.
Oh wow!
Per additional attack after the first, and you have to have a special feat for it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Reading. 1 sec. Multi-attack disadvantage 3 for each. Okay, and requires you to have the feat, which you do. Okay. So we can't multi-attack. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's a big one. Multi-attack is like...
Yeah, I didn't realize it was feat-based. I thought it was just disadvantage-based. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't either.
This is one of these things where, like I say, I've been trying to keep up with read the rules and as I've been going, but okay, that's my bad. Very good. So 2 attacks, 3 disadvantage, -1 for the feat, -1 for two-handed. Okay. Leaving disadvantage 1 to both attacks. That's actually not awful, but... I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, honestly, the character sheet's pretty thin, so I think it's perfectly... and where his preferred weapon is...
Yeah, no reason he couldn't have the feat.
I'm just going to say he's got the feat, but fair enough. But that's...
So that means a total of disadvantage 1 per attack.
Right. So...
And then plus... Yeah, that's including the two-handed.
Right. So he's going to roll 3 dice, drop the highest. All right. So we'll see what comes out of that. And then probably next round, he's going to calm down enough to actually try and resist. Yeah, and that's exactly it. Yeah. Power of 2. Yeah.
Great. So he's attacking. I think seeing him angry, I'm going to try and stun him.
Sure.
In order to, shake him out of his reverie or at least get him out of this angry funk, because I know an angry opponent is risky.
Yeah. So are you just going to straight up do a Bane attack as opposed to...
Yeah.
All right.
It's a focused action Bane attack.
If you're making it focus, you get an additional advantage because the shield assists you in that.
Okay.
You get 2 advantage on that.
Do I?
Yeah, because the shield has the focus in that particular.
Great.
So,
awesome.
All right. So, and that stun is against his what?
His fortitude.
Fortitude. Okay.
No, toughness. I apologize. Toughness.
Okay. So target 16 then. So, and again, this is sort of simultaneous action. So the question is basically what happens. So he's rolling. Okay, that's crap. He's going to completely miss you on the first attack. And then what happens with the stun?
27.
27. So he's going to wild swing on the opening strike, and then basically it's a good thing he put his face shield down, because basically he eats a face full of shield. And you just lay him out, I suspect.
Well, I'm kind of I'm going in. I can see his movement. He's angry. He's thrown his technique out the window. He rushes in. I reckon getting up inside and, like, I don't know, solar plexus.
Yeah.
Like,
all right, bang, crunch, and down he goes. And there's all kinds of ooh from the crowd and people cheering.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give him time to stand up.
All right. Just so I note in the chat that we're probably due for a break, everyone. We're about a half an hour to wrap. Do we just want to keep going and finish?
Yeah, I reckon we just power through.
Everyone's okay with that?
Yeah, I'm happy.
All right. Okay.
It's epic.
So he's going to get staggered to the ground, as I say. Yeah, winded. It's going to be kind of, like I say, the crowd's going, a combination of hush, kind of followed by cheering, followed by boos, followed by cheering, followed by Marshal Master, the Master Marshal, the half-orc, is kind of watching all of this. He's got a slight lifted eyebrow and a slight expression of displeasure on his face, but he's not intervening yet. He's watching. So I'm going to say that, yeah, that's enough of a kick in the face, as it were, that he's probably going to want to make that resistance roll. We'll see what happens if he rolls.
Yep. So he uses his minor action, and it's just a straight D20 roll.
Yeah. Rolls an 8. So no, he's still. So he's actually.
Yeah. If he gets one more fail, then it lasts for a minute.
So
10
he's going
rounds or
to
whatever.
pull himself back up to his feet, snap his face shield back down, pull the sword back into a sort of the classic two-handed side guard, and will charge forward with a battle cry towards Lucas.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to. He's running towards me. Oh.
Didn't you apply stunned? Does that mean he can't?
Yeah, I did stun
this round.
But I'm letting him get his.
Oh, okay.
The idea was to give
I
him
missed that bit.
sorry. It's just, I mean, if you were going to basically stun him and keep him on the ground and force him to yield, then that's one thing. But I presumed, Drew, what you were doing was literally just was to lay him out to give him a chance to reconsider his life choices and then let him feel as he felt. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
does that count as a hit in the duel?
I think it does. So I'm going to say it's 1 point for Lucas, because it was an unanswered blow. That's really what it amounts to.
Great. Yay. Oh, I got one. Awesome. Great. I'm going to then do I'm going to try and do forced move. I just wanted to get him away from me, so he can clear his head. So that'll be might versus, let me find the thing. Might versus guard. All right. So great, as usual.
So he's going to do, again, multi-attacking, swish swash. So if you're going to do a forced move on him, then next round he will literally have been shoved far enough away from you that he will have to use movement to close to attack again. So, but in this case, so he's still attacking disadvantage 1 on 2 attacks. All right.
Yep.
See what happens.
Was this the round that he made the resist?
Yes.
Then he gets an extra disadvantage because he can't focus strike.
Yeah. So he's going to ditch the 2 highest dice. So he's going to roll a 19 on the first attack.
That misses.
Which is going to bounce off of your shield. And then Lucas is going to roll...
that is a 23.
23. So Lucas is basically... What do you think? How is it you wind up tossing this guy a good 3 meters hence?
I'm dodging. I'm bashing him away with my shield, and then with my other shoulder, I'm getting my weight underneath him to lift him off the ground, and essentially use my shoulder to push him 15 feet away.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's going to be this smash on the shield. He's probably going to have literally left a dent in the shield. You swing around behind him. There's a shove, and this guy's feet are literally going to come up off the ground before basically you're going to shove him about half the length of the back of the arena field.
Great.
He's going to now. It's forced movement. Does that impose prone automatically, or is it just move him?
That's just movement. He's just forced away.
He's not going to fall or anything like that. He'll stagger and spin around in place, but you're out of range, so the backhand, as it were, isn't going to apply. So he's kind of grumbling and muttering under his breath. So then he's going to make his third and last attempt to resist the Bane before he charges forward again. And he rolls a 9.
Great. Cool. Okay. It's great for Great Drew thinks that's great, but Lucas does not.
No. So he's going to basically, it's all for the world, like a bull pawing the ground. And then he will come charging forward, sword basically crossed it, literally sort of driving towards you like it's a lance as he charges towards you.
Okay. Is this his second attack, or is this...
He's not multi-attacking this time, so this is the next round, all right? So for his first thing he did, minor action, resist the Bane, failed. So he's not multi-attacking, but he cannot do a focused action because he has to charge you to get into range. So he's at disadvantage 1, so he's rolling 3 dice, taking the lowest 2.
And he gets the advantage for two-handed, though, so he breaks even.
Yep, so it's 2 break even. Very good. So we'll roll the red and the green one. All right, let's see what happens.
Lucas doesn't know what to do.
So he rolls a total 15 on his attack, which is insufficient to leave a mark on Angweir Edgewater.
So I'm going to try and just hit. This is like a last minute, what's going to happen. Okay, he's coming. I'm going to do a nice little cheeky kind of hit. That's a 26.
That is a strike. Second point for Angweir Edgewater. Alexandri is over in the last known location of what she thought was the heckler. Hi there, Spider.
What are you talking? No, really, what?
And then there's a couple of... Alexandri can also not help but notice that only a couple of paces behind her are 2 fairly burly guys in trench coats. Neither of which, by the way, would be Chevalier.
Good fun. Alexandri will stand, will look at Spider, then turn to face the bodyguards, and stand in front of Spider. And just say, I apologize for my friend, he is drunk.
One of them, human, leans forward and says, please understand, miss, may be drunk, but what comes out of his mouth is his responsibility. And Lancium, a little touchy about his family. So I'm going to politely suggest that your friend go find a place to have a nap. Because if Lancium comes off that field and finds him, not sure your friend will like what'll happen next. Not making any threats, this is just a public service advisory, you understand, eh?
Merci beaucoup.
I look at like the common next to me in the crowd, and I just say, classic aristocracy, sending thugs to do their work.
I'm going to cast silence.
Are you okay with that, Jamie?
Yeah.
Okay.
The problem with this, there is a problem with this.
What's that? It's an AoE, isn't it?
Oh no! That's not the problem. The problem is that Spider is now suffering strangulation.
Oh,
That's
okay,
the
so
problem.
she's just gonna straight up force choke him. Got it.
That's basically what she's doing. She doesn't realize that's what she's doing, but it's what she's doing. So she's just going to turn and push him away. And then drop it.
Okay. By the way, you were hearing this wonderful lullaby the whole time. La, da, da, dee, la, da, da, dee.
I think I need to have a lie down, Alexander.
Yes, you do.
I'll see you back at the inn.
Meanwhile, back on the battlefield.
All right.
So Lancium is now basically toe-to-toe with Lucas.
Okay. Lucas is just doing his best to like get an attack in and finish this fight as cleanly as possible and as soon as possible, because the longer this goes on, the more this guy is going to be like an unreliable opponent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, all right. So he's going to go back to his routine of multi-attacking. So,
I think
yeah. So
I'm going to try and.
So he's rolling advantage 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and stun him.
Okay. So disadvantage 1 on both attacks. All right, let's see what happens. So you're basically, the first swing is simultaneous, so we'll see what comes of that.
Let's hope I stun him.
2 open ends, one of which he loses. So he's sitting at a 26.
Okay. Well, he hits me, but I got a 20.
Yeah, he comes out at a 28.
I got a 23, 22
22?
against his toughness.
Okay, his toughness is 16. And I just realized that in my notes for this guy, and this is just me being clueless, he actually has Bane Specialist. So he only needs a +5 to apply this. So so he rolled a 26, I said?
Yeah, I'm a 21.
You were a 20. So he's rolled higher than 5. You've exceeded him. So you're both. So he, with multi-bane specialist, he plans on inflicting stun and let's see, what's force move and knockdown is what he can do with the bastard sword. So, and he has bane resistance stunned.
Oh.
So I just realized that my notes here, because I screwed up something when I set up his character world
okay.
ankle, but I just went back and double checked the master notes for him. Yeah, so he actually has evasive footwork, which means he technically and his bane resistances, he has stunned and knocked down. I'm just going to say that he was so pissed off that he literally forgot to use his abilities the last time. But now, if you will, he's decided he's ending this fight. He's as much interested in ending this fight as you are.
Great. So did he get me twice or once then?
So you tried to stun him. He has bane resistance, which means.
But I still hit him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you both actually hit each other. I think bane resistance. Just need to double check. I think that it gives him a benefit to his save. I can't remember if that's how that works. Bane resistance. Let's double check. Choose. Okay. +5 defense. So he basically. Okay. So effectively, his what stat were you rolling against for him?
Toughness.
Toughness. So his toughness versus stunned is a 21.
Great. Well, I got a 22.
So you are going to lay him out.
Yay.
You're both going to hit each other. You're both going to. I'm just going to say. And yeah, at that point, force move. Just one sec here. Yeah, so you're going to hit him at pretty much the exact instant he hits you. And basically what he does is he flattens his hand on right across the sword, and he just comes at you like it's like he's hitting you with a doorpost. So he literally just picks you up off your feet and hurls you backwards.
Oh, wow.
And in the same moment of that, your mace connects with the side of his helm, and down he goes.
Okay.
All right.
Amazing.
So you find you are actually knocked down in this case.
Yeah, great.
So you're going to have to get up.
And I'm stunned, so I needed to use a minor action to break that, right?
Actually, no, it's not stunned. It's force moved and knocked down. So you're thrown back.
Oh, great.
Just literally, you catch some airtime and land on your ass as opposed to landing gracefully.
Great. Awesome. So I'm prone.
And he's basically laying in a crumpled heap on in the middle of the field. The crowd at this point the crowd is conflicted. Half of them are stamping their feet and cheering and rah, very much caught up in the intensity of the action. And then there's an awful lot of other people. There's an awful lot of pearl clutching going on because it's very obvious this bout stopped being fun a little while ago.
Yeah, great. Okay.
And I think at that point in time, there's going to be the god-awful sound of the world's it looks like a cowbell, rings like a church bell. Utility magic, followed by the Master Marshal shouting out, "All combatants, lay down your weapons."
Great, I do.
And basically, Lancium staggers to his feet, looking a little bit punch drunk, and you can just see him about to step forward. And then someone shouts at him. He looks around, drops his weapon, and heads towards the Master Marshal, who's beckoning the two of you towards the center field.
Yeah.
And he looks at the two, and he looks at you, looks at Lansing, snaps fairly forcefully Lancium's visor back, and says, "Excellent display of martial prowess. You're both done."
Thank you.
And he kind of glances at Lancium, and there's just this. And Lancium turns around, storms off the field.
I reckon I was going to go shake his hand.
Yeah, no, you got the impression that wasn't in his agenda right now. And the Master Marshal will turn around and announce the ending score of the display being Anguir Edgewater 2, Anguir Lancium 0.
I'm going to nod to the Marshal.
The Marshal will tip his head towards you and say, "I suggest you decide to not continue fighting for this evening. There'll be more of these later in the week."
I agree. Thank you. I'm going to, put my helmet under my arm and walk back.
And
I'll put the weapons back on the rack.
And you turn around, and the first set of eyes you see is the dwarf looking at you.
Okay. I go over to the dwarf. I'm going to walk over. I'm going to, wipe my brow, because that was a tough fight. And when I get over to him, I'm going to say, Knight Captain.
"So what do you think of all that?" he says. And you can see there's an awful lot of people paying attention to the conversation you two are having. Has Alexandria gotten back yet?
She probably has at this point, yeah.
Yeah, I've just staggered off to the inn.
Okay. So yeah. So Trollmark is looking at you. He's fairly critical expression on his face. "So what do you think of all that, then?"
A worthy opponent.
Anything else?
An opponent that asks for description that I cannot use here. And I look around at everyone.
Trollmac's going to lean forward and say, so here's the thing. He is a bastard. He's the only one of his family that his father won't acknowledge. Don't know who the hell the heckler was, but I hope he was no one you know. And your job, anytime you come out onto a field, is to make 3 people look good. You, your inspiration, and your opponent. You missed a big opportunity out there. When he got called down by some heckler in the crowd, that was your opportunity to praise up your opponent. Your swords do the talking out there, not some mouthpiece in the field. Do you understand? You called me over here and put my reputation out on that field. So now you get to hear what I think. You did good. You've got lots of promise. You're just missing a few details.
Thank you for your guidance.
Claps you on the shoulder. Excellent performance. Pleasure. Glad you had me over you invited me over to see that. I'm looking forward to seeing you possibly later on in the week. I do hope you come back. Anyway, I've got to head back over to the jousting field. Take you out, take you all, and he strolls off with his parade following behind.
I'm going to slump down on a chair.
So
a bench. Mm-hmm. Take off my helmet.
We should leave.
Okay.
Is everyone okay with a slight time skip back to the Blue Sky Inn?
Mm-hmm. Alexandra is just going to say, "You fought well."
Thank you. He was hard. Tough opponent. Where's Jasper?
Perfect time for a time skip.
I think so. All right, so you folks will be back at the inn after a short walk. 1 second here while I move the map around. So, are you talking about anything on the walk back, or is it largely silent?
I think Lucas is mostly silent. Yeah, Lucas is not starting conversation.
All right.
He's very much in his own thoughts. Left with what the night left.
So you will make your way back through, up through the central square, along one of the perimeter roads, and back towards the Blue Sky Inn.
Alexandria does want to talk to V quietly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What are we going to do now?
We are going to have a conversation.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the inn is busy. It's mid-evening. Keep in mind, you guys had met back down at the Lake of Ancestors just around dusk. And, you know, the party, and you guys had been chatting for 10, 15 minutes down there. Then you strolled up, saw the whole thing, the joust rave, if you will, going on over in the governor's area. And you guys were there probably half hour, 45 minutes. So it's still only mid-evening, and the parties are yet young. There are minstrels playing. There is bright music. There's people hanging out and chatting excitedly about stuff. Keep in mind, this is the Adventurer Bar, so there's always obviously going going to be some dark figure in a dark cloak sitting in a dark corner, no matter where they are in the room. The darkness follows them around. They're just common in adventurer bars. And then there's you lot, sitting at a table. Are you sitting more towards the middle of the place or off to a side?
To the side, I think.
I'm definitely in our room asleep, not at the table.
Yeah, I'm going up to the room.
Okay. All right. Okay. So up to the room you go.
Yeah, and I'm going in, and I'm going to pick Jasper out of the bed. Yeah. Up you get.
Huh?
Up you get.
I'm tired.
No, we're talking. Up you get.
I know we're talking. Put me down.
You awake?
Yeah?
Next time you lose yourself, and I am in a position where the stakes are high, don't do what you did tonight.
So I shouldn't put us in a position of power against our new employer.
Jasper, you know exactly what I mean. Whatever joke you thought you were telling. You didn't see it, but it didn't have the outcome that you wanted. I'm not going to stop you from doing anything that makes you happy. But next time, please think. Now come downstairs. The others want to talk about what we do next.
There's so many stairs.
And you're walking every one of them.
Cool. Yep. Ow.
All right. So a somewhat bedraggled spider comes down the stairs behind a very stern-looking Lucas, I think. Chevalier and Alexandria been talking about anything in the meantime, or just sitting in silence? I'll take that as sitting in silence. Have you two ordered anything to drink?
I mean, Chevalier wouldn't. Alexandri would, but it would just be water for the table.
Okay, so there'll be a pitcher of chilled water waiting when the brothers arrive. Okay.
Cannot hear you.
Yeah.
We didn't hear that,
yeah.
Chantel.
Oh dear.
Okay, so try that again, Chantel. What were you going to say?
It would be a pitcher of water, an extra glass. One glass is full.
Okay. So pitcher of water, one full glass, one empty glass, and the boys arrive at the table. And then what?
She throws a glass of water in Spider's face.
Okay, that's an excellent start to the evening. Splash, Spider, you've just been watered. You probably will grow quite well tomorrow. You are
Oh, you're
silenced.
muted.
Yep, there you go.
I think like half of my disguise was sort of coming off anyway. Ow, cold.
Are you awake?
Unfortunately.
Are you feeling more sober?
More sober than what? I think so.
Last thing you remember.
We met with Inquidian and we got the job and we drank. And I didn't feel well, so I came back here.
Lucas, there seems to be a disparity in what you remember versus what your brother seems to remember.
Yeah, I don't know what is an insight check in Open Legend.
There isn't one.
Actually, it is perception.
It's perception?
If you check the description, perception is sense ulterior motives,
Right.
catch a gut feeling, that sort of thing.
Great. I'm just going to see if he's like, because I don't buy it.
I'm just gonna say this seems a little thin to you, yeah.
Yeah. Great. That's an 18.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I don't.
It's not my intention as a player that Spider's lying.
Great.
So as
My
far,
intention is that he has just no idea.
so as far as Spider is concerned, Spider is telling the truth.
Okay. Great.
Is that what you mean, Jamie?
As far as Jamie is concerned, Spider is telling the truth, so I guess yes.
Fair enough.
He would have. He doesn't believe he's lying.
Okay, yeah. He literally does not remember. Got it. Yep.
Right. I'm gonna go and get. I'm gonna stand up and walk away. And I'm clenching my fists.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to punch someone, but I'm not. Instead, I'm going to go to the bar, have a look at what is on offer, and then I'm going to walk to the end of the bar, grab a glass, quietly come back, and pour myself a glass of water.
Okay. All right then. So I think it's going to be very. I'm going to say that for whatever reason, Alexandri is going to wind up at some point seeing Lucas staring at the wall of liquor in a very obvious moment, and then turning away from it to go get to go get an empty glass and return to the table. I think that is going to be something. No rule required. She sees that. Okay, continue the scene.
That we are going to be able to have much of a productive conversation given everybody.
You are lagging mucho badness there, Sam. I have no idea what you're trying to say. Frozen solid. Frowning horribly and now frozen solid while frowning.
No, you seem to be back.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I think all is well now.
Given your state, I am not in.
I feel better now, I think.
Entirely sure a conversation now is going to allow some tempers to cool.
Right. I thought the meeting went pretty well, to be honest.
I think you need to go to bed. Lucas, I think Lucas, I think you need to
Go for a walk.
be careful.
All that you do not remember.
I know Chevalier is saying something really cool right now, and all I heard is remember. So it was either a Vulcan trance or I'm not sure what was said there.
That was a solid. That was a solid gap between me actually speaking and.
Yeah, we heard what you do not remember, and that was it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All I heard was the word remember. So yeah. Okay.
Being a reaction to me speaking. That's.
Wow. I think I caught every fourth word of that. All right.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. Well, we're almost done for today anyway. So as per discussion at the beginning of the session, everyone add yourselves an XP. So
It seems appropriate.
I was just gonna say it was a busy night plot-wise.
Oh my god.
Lots of character development. Yeah. So
Okay.
I think this is possibly going to have shifted the story slightly. Battle Goat notwithstanding. And Sam.
Yeah, we've forgotten about the battle goat now.
I know, right?
I forgot all about them.
Yeah, the battle goats don't matter when consequences involved.
No, too many consequences for battle goat.
consequences. Give me a game with lots of consequence, they said. That's what we want, feelings and consequence. Hang on, got some.
I'm trying to see things from Jasper's perspective. He has no idea what just happened, and now he's just got a pissed off brother.
So, all right. So that's going to be it for tonight, folks. Thank you very much for joining me. And everyone who's watching us, either now, real time, or later on in the VOD, do appreciate your time. So yeah, the least fun part of the stream, as always, the goodbyes and goodnights, and where to find us all next. Since he's had such a great evening with communications, I'll get Sam to try first. Maybe just type it out, Sam.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I've been saying.
Yeah, that's just not going to work, Sam.
It's all right. Sam is on Twitter at @TheRealSammyP, and he streams all throughout the week with due respite. I think, Penny.
He was
I don't know.
on the Penny Peep Show podcast,
Penny Peep Show podcast,
which is out now.
Yes.
You can also find him on Monday, 11 p.m. Eastern, with me for Paddington Prowler, Curious Case of the Paddington Prowler, which is really fun.
I love all the P's. Penny Peep Show, Paddington Prowler,
Sammy P.
Sammy P. Yeah.
All the P's.
All of them. I'm Drew Bay. You can find me on Twitter at @DrewWilson. I also have a little blog that I add to every week that accompanies this stream called Tales from the Tavern, and that's talesfromthetavern.wordpress.com.
Yeah, I'm liking that, by the way. I'm really enjoying the blog posts from
Very enjoyable.
They're fun. They're a lot of fun.
Alexandre. Very interesting. All right. Jamie.
That's me. I'm Jamie Collette. I'm a voice actor. You can find me on Twitter at Muffin Manifesto or my website, jamie-collette.com. You can find me here on Saturdays and on Thursdays for Eternium Gate on Due Respite. And tomorrow you can catch Julius Caesar, directed by myself, on Streamed Shakespeare, which is facebook.com/streamed Shakespeare, I believe.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Facebook. Fantastic. All right. Yeah. Chantel.
Me.
Yes, you. Yep, you are the one and the only Chantel in the room.
I am.
Skill testing question, sorry.
Sorry, really difficult. I am Chantel B. You can find me at Chantel B on Twitter. You can find me writing Alexandri's story on wordswithcolor.com because I do that now. Like, that's a thing. You can find me here for everything this channel does. So you can find me here on, like, seriously, like that's where we're at now. So Monday at 11 Eastern for Paddington Prowler with Sam, on Wednesday 11 p.m. Eastern for Attorney Gate with Jamie, and then back here on Saturday with all of these lovely people.
There's the new show as well, but
I'm sorry?
isn't there a new show, a sci-fi show as well?
Yeah, Far From Home. We have Far From Home, which is normally on a Saturday night Eastern. However, this week is Independence Day.
Yes.
Which sounds, because I'm not American, it just sounds like a movie. So,
yeah, it's the movie.
It is that day. Congratulations to you all, I suppose.
Yep. Happy Alien Invasion
I don't
Day.
understand it. Happy Alien Invasion Day, and enjoy it. But it means that we will not be playing Far From Home this week, but we will next week. So I will plug it next week when that happens.
All righty.
Yes.
All right, and that brings it to me. My name is Michel Vaillancourt. I'm the storyteller game master of this fantastic bunch of folks. You can also catch me... Holidays based on the movie, yes, exactly. You can also catch up with me at Sunday mornings on my own channel, 902 PE Gaming, where I talk about gaming in general, running games, map making, world design, all that kind of stuff. I'm a new GM friendly. I'm happy to answer questions, whatever folks want to talk about. Drop in, say hi. And that's it for this week, folks. Thank you very much for joining us. Interesting session. Not at all where I thought this was going to go. I'm just going to nod yes as a GM and do an awful lot of staring at the what the hell do I do now map. Because, you know, it's not like 3,000 of the most influential people of the city weren't hanging around in the area you guys were in when this went off. So we'll see what comes out of that. Awesome role-playing, all folks. Just fantastic stuff. I genuinely feel spoiled. So take care of yourselves. Have fun. We will see you in a week, as I usually say, if you're catching this on the VOD after all. Thank you for joining us then. And as a reminder, this is a Do Respite Media production. Do Respite is the brainchild, baby, and love project, if you will, of Eric. He strongly believes in great games and great stories, and his entire focus of Do Respite is investing in stories. So thank you very much for investing in stories with us. Please, if you like what we're doing, follow, subscribe if you can. It's deeply appreciated. It helps us keep doing what we're doing. All the best, folks. That's it. Bye-bye. We'll catch you in a week.